The Liberty A-League has been waiting all season for the Sky Blues to hit top gear, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. 3 straight wins to push themselves into pole position in the premiership race, and today they look to tighten their grip against an Adelaide side desperate to avoid the wooden spoon. Good afternoon and welcome to sunny Leichhardt Oval here on Wongal and Gadigal land as Sydney FC host Adelaide United. It's round 21, the penultimate round of the Liberty A-League. There's just the one change for Ante Juric's Sydney from that win last week against Wellington. Captain Princess Abini returns to the side after suffering a slight calf tweak, which resulted in her missing that match. So that means Abby Lemon drops into the left back role to fill the gap after Kirsty Fenton suffered a heartbreaking season-ending ACL injury last weekend. This side includes 2 Matildas called up to the squad for the clash next month with Mexico, Courtney Vine and Jada Wyman. Today, Wyman bringing up 100 A-League women's matches, joining Barbieri, Williams and Dumont as the only goalkeepers to do so. Adrian Stentor has made 4 changes from the team who travelled straight from Wellington after their 4-0 defeat on Wednesday. Adelaide Grove has recovered from some niggling injuries to take her place back between the sticks, moving Claudia Jenkins to the bench. American Jenna Holtz makes her 6th start of the season, replacing Zoe Toland at right back, while Sarah Morgan and Chelsea Dorber, they also return for Mallory Mullen and Alana Yanchevsky respectively. Well, Courtney Vine, hasn't she caught fire in recent weeks, returning to form ahead of that Matilda's trip to Mexico next month. Fantastic that she's back in the squad and she's banging in the goals. She scored 4 in her last 2 to rocket into golden boot calculations. If she can continue this kind of scoring streak in their remaining 3, she'll close in on Michelle Heyman. And speaking of milestones, Emily Hodgson has become just the 2nd red in A-League women's history to 100 matches. She achieved that last week, joining another Emily, Emily Condon, as the first 2 players to reach the century in Reds history in this competition. Well, Ante Juric's side, they are hunting history this season, looking to move a step closer to a record-breaking 4th consecutive premiership. But he's keeping his team's focus on this weekend's match, not looking any further than that. Kelly Jones, vastly experienced referee, in charge of A-League women's match number 60 for her today. Sarah Ho and Amber Morris, her assistants. Isabella Libri, the 4th official. And Adrian Stentor said this season that he's very proud of how his side and his group are holding themselves. And it has been a tough season, but they have had a great week together, travelling to Wellington and then coming across here to Sydney to prepare for this match. And he's continuing, despite the tough season, to push his philosophy of promoting South Australian talent and playing the Adelaide brand of football. Well, Jada Wyman today bringing up a century in the A-League women's, time with Western Sydney, Sydney FC. And as I mentioned before, just the 4th goalkeeper in this competition's history to bring up a century of appearances. She's 3rd on the clean sheet list all time as well, behind Dumont and Williams. Annalee Grove, she is a young keeper on the rise, and she's back after missing the last couple with some niggling injury. She's been sitting on the bench, but Adrian Stentor happy for her to return to the fold this afternoon in Sydney, close to her home where she grew up in Warners Bay, just up the road in Newcastle. So we're ready to go here at Leichhardt Oval. The Cove in full voice, as Sydney FC continue their quest for a record-breaking 4th consecutive A-League Women's Premiership, as Adelaide aim to cause one of the upsets of the season. And it certainly would be that. They would put some kind of a dent in the Sky Blues' aspirations for that 4th consecutive premiership. And you look down the years, it's only been the Sky Blues to go back-to-back in this competition. About a decade ago now, and now they've gone 3 straight. As Adelaide with the first foray forward. And Sydney FC doing the job defensively. So Melbourne City currently sitting above them with that win over the Mariners this weekend. So they're on 38 points, but they've only got 1 more match remaining this season. Sydney FC have still got 3, including this one. And Hawkesby should earn a free kick, and will here for a little bit of a tug from Sarah Morgan. And based on the cheers, it looks as though there's a card as well here for Sarah Morgan. That is a very, very early yellow card. It was a little tug well inside her own half. You don't often see that. Sometimes the referee just decides that because it was in well inside the defensive half, a free kick will suffice. But Kelly Jones thought it was quite cynical, and that's why she hands out the yellow card to Sarah Morgan after just under 90 seconds. Sydney FC coming off that 4-2 win over Wellington last week, but the form has been superb. 3 straight wins for the first time this season, and this is going to run away from Talon Henniker. So here's this yellow card for Sarah Morgan. There's the pull on Hawkesby. So it's a clear cynical foul. Just depends where you sit on the spectrum of how harsh you think a yellow card should be. Some would say a little harsh. That looked to be a handball from Talon Henniker. So free kick here for Adelaide United. So the Reds coming into this one on the back of 4 straight losses. Adrian Stenter knows it's been a challenging season, but he said that he has been impressed this week with how the group have applied themselves despite that heavy defeat in Wellington. They did have somewhat of a disjointed pre-season, players coming in and out, made it a little bit difficult. And the start of the season was a really slow one for the Reds, behind the 8 ball. When you don't win in your first 7 matches, 2 draws in that period of the season before they got their first couple of wins in round 8 and 9, it really does mean you're playing catch up for a lot of the season. And in the end, it's just an area where they haven't been able to recover from. That's been the clear issue, the slow start, but also the fact that they, as we get confirmation there of that yellow card inside the opening 2 minutes for Sarah Morgan. The glaring issue, though, for Adelaide, of course, they've conceded a lot of goals, but it's been their work in the attacking third where they just haven't been able to finish off chances. Their coach saying that he's happy with them getting the ball into that final third. It's just that last pass, finishing it all off. Just 21 goals this season in 20 matches. And now they're going to be put to the test at the other end of the ground on the counter-attack. Talon Henniker, who scored it first in the derby. And she's earning a corner here. So another one of these young talents that have come through at Sydney FC. Kaylee Talon Henniker, just her 6th match in this competition, 3rd of the season, making back-to-back starts and earning a side a set piece. So can Mackenzie Hawkesby get the Sky Blues on their way here? Floats it to the back post. The header just a little too powerful from Tori Tumeth. Not a noted goal scorer. She does have the one goal in this competition. Came actually for Melbourne City against Melbourne Victory back in the finals in 2022. So maybe this time of the year is her time of the year to get on the score sheet. Talon Henniker. Neat bit of skill there. And how about that from Vine? On to Hawkesby, looking to link with Princess Abini. That was neat interplay from Sydney FC. And this is the worry for the rest of the competition, is the Sky Blues for most of the season have been below their absolute best, and they just seem to be warming and just coming to the boil at the perfect time of the year, especially from an attacking sense as well. That has been their Achilles heel, if you want to call it that, this season. It's probably being a bit harsh. They've got the 8th best attack in the competition for the side sitting second, and could go first, back to first with a win here today, as Ray finding Vine. Does the streak continue? No, it doesn't. Well, that's wonderful defending from Adelaide United. Ella Tonkin, who's been singled out for praise this season by Adrian Stenter, got across and shut down the angle. She had to, because Annalee Grove was beaten, and Tonkin shut the door on Vine, and Sydney kept at bay for the moment. Hawkesby from the other flank. It's low. It initially got through the swing of Holtz. Adelaide got it clear eventually, but Chevet coming back at them. Lemon almost found Vine. Does find Talon Henniker. And she has got her second goal this month in the Liberty A-League, and Sydney FC, they just continue scoring goals. They are in a purple patch of goal-scoring form, and the youngster, she's back on the score sheet again, and Sydney lead 1-0. What a moment that is. Scored her first goal in this competition against Western Sydney earlier this month. You thought it was heading to Vine. Talon Henniker making the run at the back post. And it is Sydney FC who are just imperious at the moment. So you do your calculations. They've scored 9 goals in the previous 3 games. It's now 10 in the last 4, so they're scoring at an average of 2.5 goals a game. You take out these 4 matches and you take out those 10 goals, they'd scored 18 in the previous 16 matches. So they were going at just over a goal a game. They have flicked the switch now, Sydney FC. And everything seems to be happening for them now in the final third. And Adelaide United, defensively, they've conceded now 46 goals in the A-League Women's. And when you look at the numbers, they're actually level now with Canberra, as Abini goes for goal, and Grove has to pour it away for another corner. It's like she's facing a firing squad at the moment. Annalee Grove, there are shots raining in from everywhere. Sydney FC have come out here on a mission to blow the Reds away early. And Abini floating it in towards Vine. Scored with the header last week against Wellington. Well, they just have to somehow withstand this pressure, Adelaide United. This will help, and it'll be a goal kick. They have to somehow get through this period. There's another goal scorer for the Sky Blues last week in Thompson. Scored the goal which gave them a buffer late on after Wellington clawed back from a 3-0 deficit to make it 3-2. Sasaki. And here's Waldus back to Grove. Pressure coming from Abini. And there's a little nudge, which is going to bring a free kick there on Hannah Blake. Adrian Stentor and his team really wedded to this possession-based football. That's the style they want to play. It's the Adelaide way. And at the moment, Sydney FC are just able to pick them off, but he'll be hoping they can play through this press. You can see possession is being dominated by Adelaide in this match so far, and when they have been able to break through the Sky Blues press, they've looked good. But when Sydney have been able to win possession high up the pitch, it's been very, very dangerous. Here come Sydney again. Taylor Ray this time looking for Vine. Dorber searching for the run here of Hodgson. Well, Ante Juric, what a record he has as Sydney FC head coach, chasing this 4th consecutive premiership. And they're back top of the pops on the live ladder at the moment, Sydney FC. And just doing a quick mathematical calculation at the moment, Sydney FC, they'd need 41 points to clinch the premiership. They're on 39 on the live ladder at the moment. Of course, not locked in stone, this 3 points against the Reds, but just giving you an indication. So they've got 2 matches left. They've got Canberra United midweek, 4 p.m. on Wednesday. That's that match that needs to be replayed from February. You might remember it was abandoned very early in the match inside the opening half due to thunderstorms in the nation's capital. And then they've got Melbourne victory next Sunday afternoon here at home. Hodgson floating the cross, searching for the head. Holmes was making a run, so too was Isabel Hodgson, but it falls to Chevet, who's looking to release Vine. And it was Ella Tonkin once again. Who's going to have a work cut out for her today, Ella Tonkin, but she'll be hoping that this is a really great afternoon for her up against Courtney Vine. What a moment to test herself against one of the best players in this competition. Daunting, no doubt, but an exciting opportunity as well is presented by this challenge. Dorber around the corner. Hodgson and Sasaki. Holmes should track this down, but it in the end just beats her over the sideline. Dylan Holmes celebrated a birthday a couple of days ago. 27th birthday it was on Friday. Reds celebrating that a birthday celebration in Sydney. Staying at Coogee after arriving from Wellington on Friday. And then they're heading back tonight, back to Adelaide before they face Newcastle next week at home in what shapes as a really, really important match in the top 6 race. So you can see Adelaide possession-based approach, stringing the passes together, a much higher accuracy than Sydney FC, who when they have got it, they have just gone and gone quickly. Hodgson. This is nice from the Reds here. Holmes angles the pass wide to Dorber. Players flooding into the box. Dorber. Not a bad effort, was it? Floated wide of the top corner. Chelsea Dorber, who's come back into the A-League Women, scored 2 goals in what is now her 11th appearance of the season. She scored last weekend against Brisbane, and her first goal this season was in December against Western United. Sydney FC, this time down the right through Taylor Ray. Is that a season in and out of the starting side? Taylor Ray has played for her country as well back in 2022. Looking to get herself back in that kind of form to warrant a call-up, but it is a tough part of the field to break into the midfield for Tony Gustafsson. Here's a little look at the first quarter of the game. Adelaide more possession, Sydney FC dominating shots on goal, and it was probably that flurry between sort of the 5th and 10th minute of the game where the shots were just raining in from everywhere. And Kaylee Talon-Henniker scored her second goal this month. Scored in the derby, scores against the Reds. She loves taking on teams in red and black, it would say. Margot Chevet there, former Western Sydney Wanderer, and there's the Reds captain, Isabel Hodgson. And Tumeth has just bitten off a little too much there for Kelly Jones' liking. It was an important win from Dylan Holmes in midfield, allowed the Reds to spring forward here through Chelsea Dorber. A lack of red shirts though in front of her. Morgan and Waldus. A touch defender finding Sasaki from Japan, but has played in the Adelaide competition, earning away into this Reds side. And the delivery from wide, just not enough accuracy on it, not enough power as well. But Adelaide will get to recalibrate here and go again. And this has been the problem area for them this season, is keeping possession, getting themselves into that final third. It's just finding that last piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And it's been a rough period for them of late. 4-0 loss to Wellington on Wednesday. 2-1 they went down to Brisbane last week. 4-1 against Victory. 2-0 against the Mariners. So just 2 goals in the last 4 matches for the Reds. Lemon there at left back with, unfortunately, Kirsty Fenton. Wasn't that heartbreaking news during the week when Sydney FC confirmed that she had ruptured her ACL and out for the season, out for a year, unfortunately. So it's going to take a large chunk of next season as well for Kirsty. So we wish her all the best. So we see just a confirmation there of possession in this game. Adelaide really dominant in that department and becoming more and more dominant. Those statistics in the Reds' favour. Waldus drives it forward. Hodgson's going to need to really accelerate more than she could there to close the gap on the ball. So it'll be a Sydney throw. Thompson takes the ball away from Holtz, and now Sydney once more flowing forward into midfield. Here's Abini evading the little nudge from Sasaki. An advantage played now. Talon Henniker in towards Vine, looking for double figures in goals this season. Courtney Vine. And she takes it around Hodgson and cuts it back at the byline. Hawkesby was hunting another goal this season. She's already got 2. It's quite incredible, the disparity between Courtney Vine's 9 and, to be fair, before the last 4 matches, she was down around the numbers of most Sydney FC players. As we see Courtney Vine, look at this, just glided past Hodgson. It was less of an acceleration and more of a glide. Just a wonderful mover, Courtney Vine. It's the kind of ability I think everyone wishes they had. The ability just to look as though you're not even in top gear and you're able to move like that. Holmes angles the pass inboard and it's cut away from Hodgson. Talon Henniker got the first touch around, but then Walters came in, won it back for the Reds, and Taylor Ray did likewise for Sydney FC. Little flick off the head of Blake allows Sydney FC to get their foot on the ball once again. And the whistle goes for a Sky Blues free kick. I was just going to mention that the form of Vine. So 4 in the last 2, 6 in the last 5. So before those last 5, Vine was down around 3 goals. So you look at it, Vine 9 goals, Maddie Caspers 3, Fiona Wirtz 3. Remember, Fiona Wirtz has been injured for most of the season. And then Hawkesby 2, Thompson 2, and then about, well, Talon Henniker now on 2 as we see a free kick here. Is there another card coming out this time? It's gone the way of Hannah Blake. So Morgan, who looked rather unimpressed with the decision to hand out another yellow card. She's already got one, and now joining her is Hannah Blake. Thoughts on this? Is that a yellow card offence? Adelaide fans may be wondering. Adelaide fans might be a little confused as Vine's header straight into the lap of Adelaide Grove. She's almost got 2-headed goals in the last 2 matches, Courtney Vine. Adding different strings to her game. And here's Hawkesby. The goals keep raining in for Sydney FC. Mackenzie Hawkesby with number 3 for this season. And when it rains, it pours. Goals, that is, for the Sky Blues. It is 2-0, and we're only just past the midway point of this first half. Similar state of affairs as we've already seen this afternoon. The Reds turning it over. Sky Blues punish them. And Hawkesby absolutely loved that. Oh, yes, Mackenzie Hawkesby back in the Liberty A-League. Of course, she was here last season, but returned in December after an ill-fated stint in England with Brighton. In terms of playing time, but you just wonder, she would have learnt so much from that experience. And she's brought that back to the A-League Women's this season. So the Reds, this is a nice little move from Morgan, but again, no one to go with her. Talon Henniker scored the first. Hawkesby the second. big concerns you feel at this point for Adelaide United. 4 goals they conceded against Wellington, and Wellington are an entertaining side. Got to give them credit for that, but they're not Sydney FC, which does cause some concerns. The way Sydney are in some ominous touch here. Vine towards Hawkesby, and now with Sasaki. A red side at the tail end of a wretched season, away from home after a big week of road tripping. How's the headspace here at this point? As Sydney FC just look as though they've got an insatiable appetite for more goals. So Adelaide now with a really tough ask if they want to avoid the wooden spoon. So there's still so much to play for them. Of course, there is so much more at stake when you're playing finals or fighting for a premiership than wooden spoon, but you don't want to finish last. And Adelaide right now, that's where they are, because Canberra had that win against Wellington. Michelle Heyman scoring goal number 15 this season. That's the highest ever in the A-League Women's in a season. So she still has 2 matches to go as well. So time for Michelle Heyman. Courtney Vine is on 9 at the moment. Now, I know that seems a fair way off, but as I said, 6 in the last 5, 4 in the last 2, as Hodgson will not trouble the Centurion. Jada Wyman with that strike from range, but she has been most impressive this season. She started every match for the Reds this campaign, all 21. Adrian Stenter has been glowing in his praise for her. Said it's her most consistent season in this competition. Beanie is back in the side this week after that calf tweak kept her out. The captain returning. Cuts a frustrated figure on the sideline. Adrian Stenter, it's just been one of those seasons, and you can probably see, if you're a Sydney FC fan and you haven't watched the Reds a lot this season, or you tuning in for one of the first times this season, you can really see where the Reds' issues are lying at the moment in that final third. Just that lack of a recognised striker in the middle, able to put away after the Reds have done all the good work in build-up. You can see, look at that, final third entries, very tight, but Sydney FC's chances are so much better to this point. So lends you to think it's just that final piece of the puzzle for the Reds. Not that far off. It's just someone putting them in the back of the net, and it's an issue that Sydney had for a lot of this season. It was just defensively they've been able to keep teams at bay and pick up points. Blake has it pinched by McLean. Reds win it back though, and Morgan just thumps it out wide. Gee, that's good desperation from Jenna Holtz to track it down. The American got there just in the nick of time. The Woden junior Morgan out of the ACT. Tough nut to crack though, Sydney FC. 15 goals conceded in 19 games. Doesn't matter what competition you're in, that is imperious defending as Hodgson cuts it back and clearance over the sideline. Jenna Holtz. Got to credit that kind of work against the sideline. 20th appearance for her this season. Just 6 starts though. Blake, former Perth Glory player. Vine just put under pressure by Holmes. Here's a good opportunity for the Reds. Hodgson has Dorver in the middle, just delayed a little too long. Probably had to go first time. Spills for Morgan, who shoots. And Wyman, there's a reason why. She's got 8 clean sheets this season. And it's because she can pull out saves like that in key moments, because she hasn't been tested too often in this match, and when she needed to, she was able to produce to deny Sarah Morgan. That's why she's in the Matilda squad for next month. Delivery towards, Wyman has flattened Waldus. Now, if we're in Adelaide, there'd be plenty of noise potentially about a penalty. Keeper taking out one of the Reds in the box, but there won't be too much yelling going on here. Look at this. Wyman into Waldus. Now, if it was a penalty, some would say harsh, but did take out one of the Reds players. We'll let you be the judge at home here. Ball looked to be long gone. Well, Abini had knotted it up and over the top, so Waldus was going to need an extra 2 feet probably to get on the end of it. But just has to be a little careful there, the Sydney goalkeeper. Problems here again for the Reds. Courtney Vine just sneaks in like a thief in the night, wins back possession for Sydney, and then still is able to allow Abini an opportunity here after Sasaki did some great foraging to try and win back possession. Thompson has an easy opportunity for Adelaide to win back possession. So you just wonder, half-time approaching, how Ante Juric approaches things, considering Sydney FC have to play in Canberra on Wednesday. How early does he go to his substitutions? He's got a few on there, a few back from the young Matildas, as Abby Lemon wins that free kick. It's got Shay Holman, Indiana DeSantos, Maddie Caspers on the bench as well. They only just arrived back this week. That's why they've just been eased back into action after finishing 3rd in that Under-20 Asian Cup and qualifying for the Under-20 FIFA Women's World Cup, which is just fantastic. Congratulations to Leah Blaney and all of the staff and the team. That is an amazing achievement. Talon Henniker. And the ball cleared away by Holtz. Delivery to the back post from Chevet, just a little too far in front of Princess Abini. But it was that kind of ball which allowed Talon Henniker to open the scoring for Sydney FC. You can see her and Abini have just switched sides. Talon Henniker began the match on the right, Abini on the left. Sasaki around the corner, and Hodgson pushing into some space here down the left. Sasaki, Holmes. And Dorber taking on Lemon and delivering, but she's asking for the free kick, Chelsea Dorber, but looked to be shoulder-to-shoulder contact between the two of them, and straight into the arms of Wyman. Sydney FC just hovering, waiting to pounce here on one loose pass from the Reds. Chevet just pushing up on Tonkin. A little bit of space opens up here for Chelsea Dorber. Can she find a delivery? That's a neat bit of movement as she delivers in behind Thompson, but it was Lemon again. Gets it away to safety. Now Talon Henniker, chance to stretch her legs. It's an important win back for the Reds, and Dorber stabs it inboard for Morgan. Sasaki. That's lovely play from Sasaki. Holmes just has a shot on sight and well wide of goal. No problems for Jada Wyman. Another impressive performance today from Abby Lemon, slotting into that left back role. Just 21 years of age. First goal in this competition back in March against Western United, which came in round 19 a couple of weeks ago. And probably what's been most impressive is her versatility, playing higher up the pitch, back in the full-back role as she is today. Kirsty Fenton, a big loss for Sydney, but gee, they have some depth to cover the injuries this season. You think about the long-term injuries that Sydney have had to deal with, the likes of Shay Connors, Fiona Wirtz, Nat Tobin. You just think if they were all fit, a lot of these young players that have got an opportunity this year have been having to bide their time. So you wonder what happens next season. Just having a look at the contract situation, a lot of them are here long-term. Maddie Casper's here till 2026. And there are some opportunities for some of those other young players only signed till 2024 this season. So if other clubs have the money, they may well come knocking, but Sydney FC certainly a very attractive prospect for these young, talented future superstars of Australian football. Final 5 minutes here before half-time. There's the nudge on Holtz. So at the moment, Adelaide just unable to get past Sydney FC's resolute backline. Just not able to make any inroads of late. And Sydney very, very happy to allow them possession. Taylor Ray shut down by Sasaki. Here is Vine. Turned away from the pass to Talon Henniker. Now Chevet. Ray. Hawkesby. Abini on the angle. Players in the middle. Talon Henniker should earn a corner here and does. Gee, Taylor Ray, she thought she was a real chance there. Grabbing her first goal of the season. Hasn't scored actually in 3 years in this competition. And if Princess Abini just floated that one with a bit more curl, probably would have got on the end of it and scored. Game number 61 in this competition for Ray here today. Abini, another delivery from that angle on the left. Ray, pass angles with the spin. That's going to be hard for Tuma to track down. So live ladder time. Sydney FC top at the moment, 39 points. Melbourne City 38. But Melbourne City only have one game left in hand. Sydney after this would have two. Western United 35, Mariners 34, Western Sydney 33, Victory 33. And then Newcastle on 30. So Newcastle, the only side outside the six that could move their way into the six. They play Adelaide next week. Western Sydney facing a trip across the Tasman to take on Wellington. And they need a point or three to secure their spot. Melbourne Victory, well, they also need to win. They're playing Sydney. Because if Victory lose to Sydney FC, then Newcastle beat Adelaide. Newcastle would make it into the finals on the win rule. So their goal difference is a lot worse than Melbourne Victory, but they'd make it in through the matches won rule, the controversial rule that is in play this season. So Tonkin now and Holtz. So Adelaide have got a really significant role to play in how the finals could shake up. Lemon. Vine looks for the quick delivery. Talon Henniker, she's stolen a march here on Hodgson, but it is a tough angle. And Hodgson used all her experience there up against the youngster to close down that attacking raid. There's that foul a little bit earlier. Sasaki just reeling out of that one. So Sydney FC just seconds remaining in regulation time in this first half. Can they find something else before half time? McLean and Ray. Hawkesby. Hawkesby scoring the second goal after the 18-year-old Talon Henniker scored the opener for Sydney FC. The injury replacement, of course, for Fiona Works, and she's certainly helped in the goal-scoring department. where they've lost big with Fiona Wirtz missing for a large chunk of the season, the former Red, that knee issue. So the Reds, can they find something before halftime? The ball in towards Morgan. Talon Henniker clears it away up towards Vine. And Vine just swerves away from Tonkin. Comes to Sasaki. Now uses the delivery to find Hawkesby. Talon Henniker. Well, they're going to come back here for a free kick. So, just be intrigued to see here. Vine served away there. Is it a handball? Is that what we've come back for? So I might double check that again just to see exactly what that was. Is there a handball or was it offside for Talon Henniker? Oh yeah, so that's the decision here. Handball from Hawkesby, just that left hand grazing the ball. Good pick up from Kelly Jones. Space here for the Reds, for Hodgson. How often feels, I've said that in the first half, space for the Reds in that area of the pitch, but just not able to translate it further forward. So Tori Tumeth, part of this impressive Sydney FC defence, which has conceded just 15 goals in 19 matches this season. Are we wanting to rack up another clean sheet and keep the Reds at bay here? Taylor Ray getting it away for the moment. Could come back through Sasaki. And that is half-time. Sydney FC, they have got one hand on the premiership, you feel, with a 2-0 advantage here against Adelaide United. They are getting closer and closer to this record-breaking 4th consecutive premiership. The 18-year-old Kaylee Talon Henniker with her 2nd goal this month. And Mackenzie Hawkesby on the score sheet in the first half. At Leichhardt Oval, it's Sydney FC 2, Adelaide United 0. And let's reflect now on these first half goals. So is Kaylee Talon Henniker. Remember that she signed back in February as an injury replacement for Fiona Wirtz. She actually sat a HSC exam at the Dubai International Airport on the Sky Blues way to Uzbekistan for that AFC Women's Championship last year. Earned her spot in the side this season. And she's grabbed 2 goals already in the last few weeks to make it a 1-0 lead here against Adelaide. Scored a first against Western Sydney earlier in March. And then Mackenzie Hawkesby, after the Reds turned the ball over. It's been a problem area for them this season. Ball pinched as they're looking to play it out from the back. And Hawkesby just with a lovely strike of the football. We know what she can do. And she made it 2-0. And the stats will tell you, Adelaide United dominating possession. Sydney FC, though, picking them off. And they have been good for that 2-0 advantage. Adelaide just not able to find the polish in the final third. We'll be back with the second half. Right after this, it is Sydney FC leading Adelaide 2-0. Welcome back to Leichhardt Oval. Oh, gee, that looks good, doesn't it? Wouldn't you love to be there on the hill with an ice cream at Leichhardt Oval on a beautiful autumn's day? It is just magic to be here at the Eighth Wonder. And it's Sydney FC fans who are loving life at the moment. 2-0 up, and this is how they grab their first goal. Kaylee Talon-Henniker, the 18-year-old, with her second goal of the season, a second goal this month. The injury replacement for Fiona Wirtz scored to make it 1-0 to Sydney FC inside the opening 10 minutes, and Margot Chevet playing a big role in that. Abby Lemons ball across, and Talon-Henniker, we know how quick she is. Well, Hodgson said she was too quick. She beat the flag, but she was well onside there. Kaylee Talon-Henniker to make it 1-0 for Sydney FC. And then this probably gives you an indication of the issues Adelaide have had this season. Playing out from the back, turned over, Hawkesby goes whack and makes it 2-0 to Sydney FC. Goals for her this season, now up to 3 for the campaign for Mackenzie Hawkesby. And just having a look at her all-time A-League women's stats, she's now got 17 goals in this competition in 71 matches. And Jada Wyman looking to close in on clean sheet 9 this season. So Talon-Henniker, just comparing the 18-year-old up against Chelsea Dorber, who has been a key player for Adelaide for many, many years, burst onto the scene as a teenager as well. She's scored 23 goals in this competition. But it's Talon-Henniker at the moment with more of the finished product. Dorber, higher passing accuracy, you can see that lends itself to the Reds' way of playing, controlling possession, but in the end, just unable to create any chances of note in the final third. So back underway in the second half here at Leichhardt Oval. Sydney FC continue their quest for a 4th consecutive premiership, a record-breaking feat for the Sky Blues. That would be, they've already got the record at 3 straight. So I only just want to go and increase it, remembering that that only side that has won back-to-back premierships, Sydney FC of 2009 to 2010-11, they won back-to-back titles. So this Sydney FC side in uncharted territory, looking to go further into the record books. And Adelaide, they just want to get themselves off the bottom of the table, and that can start here with a strong second half performance. But it looks as though handball has gone against Isabel Hodgson. Confirmation of that. So the only side that you'd really say is somewhat similar to Sydney FC in their ability to win back-to-back titles. Melbourne City, of course, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18 winning grand final. They also did it 19, 20. They won 4 grand finals in 5 seasons. But Sydney FC would be 4 premierships in 4 years. Championship, of course, eluded them the first 2. But they could make it back-to-back championships if they go all the way this season. Still a long way to go in that department, but they're certainly one of the sides to beat, you'd say, in the finals. McLean knocking it over the top, looking for the run of Vine, who's going to put the pressure on Annalee Grove, closing down the space on Grove. Now Abini, the press was coming from the Sky Blues, and now they get their reward. Off the head of Holtz. She wanted the flag. Abini now powering towards the box and stopped by Sasaki. There's the Sydney FC mascots you might have seen there at the bottom of the screen, sky and blue. doing the rounds here at Leichhardt Oval. So this is the standoff for Adelaide. This is the game within the game. Can they play out? Well, it almost backfired horribly. That would have been an absolute disaster for the Reds. Courtney Vine almost getting a cheap goal there. And here it is again. Press comes in. Adelaide trying to play it from the back. It just almost came undone again there. Dorber away from Lemon, accelerates into space here. Chelsea Dorber, this is a good incisive run. Hodgson floats it towards the middle, and that was one of the Reds' best forays forward in this game. We had that strike from Sarah Morgan, tipped over the bar by Wyman, but that was an incisive run from Dorber. Good acceleration towards the box, away from Lemon. That's the first real time she's been able to get herself free of Lemon. Meanwhile, at the other end, the Sky Blues rushing down the right through Talon Henniker. Thompson, goal scorer last week, Jordan Thompson. And Hawkesby, now Lemon. He will not miss her with those bright yellow boots, the fluoro boots. And Hodgson, and a rare moment. Isabel Hodgson with some green pastures around her, and quickly was shut down by Sydney. But here come the Reds again with Dylan Holmes. Another good run this for Adelaide. Holmes getting herself in the middle as Dorber moves into space out wide right. Here's the strike from Sasaki, and it's been what the Reds have been restricted to in this game. A lot of their chances have come from strikes outside the box, and just not going to trouble Jada Wyman. Great to see Max Burgess in the house. Sydney FC A-League men's midfielder watching the Sydney FC A-League women's side. Don't forget the A-League men's competition is back next week. Sydney FC facing Central Coast Mariners, actually. That is going to be an absolute cracker on Easter Saturday. Sydney FC and the Mariners, two sides in great form. And next week, the final round of the A-League women's. First season of full home and away, and it's been a wonderful roller coaster ride. Hodgson. Dorber. Is this the moment for the Reds? Almost a little backheel flick from Holmes at the near post. He's going to earn her side a corner, though. So the Reds are just warming to the task in the second half. And actually, it's going to be a goal kick. Well, I don't think you would believe that if you watch that replay back. It looked like it was clearly off a Sky Blue player, and Dylan Holmes thought that because she was running to the corner. Just one of those things that sometimes doesn't go your way. Here we go. Does it? Well, maybe it comes back off Dylan Holmes on the way through as Thompson got a leg to it. It's just one of those unlucky moments. But the Reds have to take some confidence from the last 5 minutes or so. They had that good chance when Dorber drove forward, and then again there. And when they are able to make those passes stick through midfield, they look dangerous. Sound like a broken record, but it's just that finishing, that finisher this season. So highest goal scorer for the Reds this season, Dylan Holmes with 3, Hannah Blake 3, Isabel Hodgson 3. And that tells you the full story you need to know. Chabet linking with Lemon. Throw is Sydney FC's. Much to the disappointment there of the on-looking Adrian Stenter. And he's just pointing out to the referee where the throw needs to be taken. He was standing right on the mark. And some lines out there helped to indicate exactly how further forward that was taken. Of course, happens quite a lot, but not saying that means that it's okay. Holmes. Really good and strong in midfield, Dylan Holmes. Again today, just needs players to go with her. Isabel Hodgson has also worked hard, the captain. She's closing in on 100 A-League women's matches for the Reds, and Courtney Vine is closing in on goal here. One-on-one with Grove. Well, that was a great defensive effort. Getting across Hodgson and stopping the danger progressing any further, because it looked as though it was going to be. Courtney Vine making it 3-0 to Sydney FC. Waldus left behind her, and then Emily Hodgson in game 102 getting a body in the way. As we see the Sydney FC substitutes warming up, a lot of them young Matildas back from that trip to Uzbekistan. Holman, DeSantos, Caspers all there. There's a snapshot from Vine going wide, and that was the question that I raised in the first half about when Ante Juric would go to the bench. Shay Connors as well there. Great to see her back. She's just been restricted to the 8 matches and 3 starts so far this season. So they've got that match against Canberra on Wednesday. So at what point does he decide to make some changes, give some players a rest? Remembering that Canberra this season have been up and down, of course, considering they're second last at the moment, but they've produced some really good performances against some top quality opposition as well. Melbourne City were high flying and they knocked them off at home, so Melbourne victory as well. They really challenged them in a game this year as well at home, so hard place to go down to Canberra. Sydney will know that, so they want to have a team that is close to fully fresh as they can get after just a 3-day turnaround from kickoff to kickoff. Pressure on Tonkin. Ice in her veins in that moment to get the pass forward to Sasaki. Dorber and Holtz. Here they come again, the Reds. This is where they look good. Nice ball movement. And just as I say that, Hawkesby pinches it back. And Courtney Vine is going to be flagged for offside. You feel like She's destined for a goal, depending on whether Ante Juric and Tom Whiteside decide that they should keep her out there. They may want to put her in cotton wool and just give her a spell for the last part of the game. We'll wait and see what they do decide to do. Ray Thompson driving forward into space, loves to drive forward, the American defender. Abini, early delivery. Hawkesby, that close to another spectacular finish. Mackenzie Hawkesby, she was trying to claim it, touched a red. Did she just angle it a little too wide, or did she get a foot? Well, she might have. Might have just taken the ankle of Tonkin. You got to credit Tonkin once again there for a good last gasp challenge. Talon Henniker. That delivery slips through the gloves of Grove. A nervy moment for the Reds goalkeeper. It's just floating up there. Just look for a moment. She's got up there a little early. Was just left hanging as the ball slipped through her grasp, and she breathed a massive sigh of relief that there was no Sky Blue player in behind her. Hawkesby. Another good run direct from Vine, cuts it back towards Hawkesby. Talon Henniker there. Adelaide have got to be careful not to foul Talon Henniker. They did well just to shuffle her towards the edge of the box. And the final half an hour is upon us. Chevet. Well weighted to Hawkesby. Cleared away by the Reds into the arms of the Sydney FC boss. And here comes a change. And it's not coming from Sydney FC, it's coming from Adrian Stenter's bench. And that's Sarah Morgan, replaced by Emily Condon, who's played the most matches for the Reds in their history now. So what kind of impact can the one-time Matilda have on this side? Played for the Matildas back in 2018. Hawkesby, Abini, and was too unselfish there, Princess Abini. She thought that there were players queuing up at the back post, and in the end I think they thought she'll just go for goal herself. And Shay Connors is going to come onto the field. So too is Maddie Caspers. Maddie Caspers, a player who has scored 3 goals in the last 4 before she headed overseas with the young Matildas. Talon Henniker leaves the field, so a young gun for a young gun, and Shay Connors onto the field. Taylor Ray leaves proceedings. It will be Connors to fill the void of Talon Henniker. And Caspers heading out there into midfield for Taylor Ray. And Kaylee looking very happy with her work today. 2nd goal of the season. She'll have a nice cold drink and get herself hydrated and refreshed, because they're going to need her on Wednesday for that trip to Canberra. Courtney Vine wants to continue the goal scoring. Caspers, Lemon. Bright boots aplenty here now. You can see Vine, Lemon, Caspers, they're everywhere you look. The fluoro highlighter boots. It's the Reds going the other way with Dorber. And while it's only a 2-goal margin, Adelaide have got to still believe. They just need to find an avenue to goal. Condon, that was good close control, but then Hawkesby eventually was able to win out. Vine holds her feet. Shay Connors bursting forward. Flag stays down. Shay Connors stopped by Adelaide Grove. Shay Connors looking for a first goal for Sydney FC. And she was not far away. Just a boot from Adelaide Grove denying her. But with her pace, you sense another opportunity is not too far away. It's quite staggering to think that she hasn't scored for Sydney FC. She also played in that AFC Women's Club Championship. Last goal, March last year. It was the 26th of March, so almost a year to the day. Scored in a 1-all draw, Brisbane and Victory. Of course, she's had an injury-interrupted season with that broken foot keeping her out for a few months. She played on the 17th of December and then didn't return until the 2nd of March. As Kelly Jones gets a touch. Referee just couldn't help getting involved there. Princess Sabini's pass. It was probably a pretty good pass in the end. Had it not hit Kelly Jones's heel. So a couple more Reds coming to the sideline here to have a chat here to Adrian Stenter. Some more changes in the offing. Is there a goal? They've got some goals on the bench. Lana Yanchevsky certainly has scored them in seasons gone by. Just the one this season is Shay Connors. Onto the left, flashes it wide, but the whistle had already gone. And it was tight, wasn't it? Flag up for offside, but that's already 2 chances Shay Connors has got in the last few minutes. You just feel like the American's going to break a sky blue goal-scoring drought. There's just something in the air. Maybe the Reds will get one back before then. Dorber. Remember, they did allow Wellington back into the game around this time last week. They're up 3-0. Dorber cuts it back. Oh, it should have been 2-1. It should have been 2-1. Isabel Hodgson cannot believe she has not headed that into an empty net. That was as perfect as it could have got for the Reds. And now at the other end, it's Vine. And you've got to credit the work once again of Tonkin. Gee, she's been impressive as well, Tonkin. First goal coming out wide for Talon Henniker, and then the other one from well outside the box in those one-on-one duels, especially against Vine. She has really stood up, Ella Tonkin. Chevet drives the pass low. And player I just mentioned, Tonkin finding Grove. Well, we'll have a look back at that. I don't know whether the sun got in her eyes. I know that the player herself is going to say no excuses, but sun is rather low here. Leichhardt Oval may have made things a little challenging as the ball came out of the sunlight. Dorber driving it across again this time. A shot on target from Condon. It must have been in the sun. That's the only explanation here. Hodgson just missed it. Maybe just brushed her hair on the way through. She could not believe it. She stood there for a good few minutes, and now Courtney Vine. This time still cannot get a goal today, Courtney Vine. And she has a little chuckle about it as well. This time she's thwarted by Grove, and you've got to credit Grove as well in these one-on-one situations. She has been good today. Vine trying to slide it in behind her, send her the other way. Just needed a little bit of air maybe to get it up over the outstretched leg of Grove. So Vine and Connors, the two flyers for Sydney FC, are threatening at the moment. Final 20 minutes almost upon us as Hawkesby hammers it to the back post. And the strike from McLean, that was solidly hit. This is Emily Hodgson tracking it down. So the Reds, they are just hanging in there at the moment. They are just hanging in there, and they are still in this game. So Mallory Mullen and Alana Janchevsky coming onto the field. Janchevsky has 6 goals in her A-League women's career, just the one this season, way back in October in that 4-4 draw with Canberra. That is how difficult it's been for the Reds. So Dorber leaves the field, so too does Dylan Holmes. Doesn't that explain the attacking issues? You look at that first game, so 4 goals. So in 19 games since that opening round match, they've scored just 17 goals, so less than a goal a game average. But they are close enough here to Sydney FC that if they are good enough to create another chance that they can bury, well, you never know what could happen. Sydney just need a third at the moment and creating enough to make it 3-0. They just need to put it in the back of the net, because we know what a 2-goal margin can create. Just a little bit of nerves at this point in the game. Caspers, well, that's a clear tug from Mullen, and Kelly Jones playing advantage. Such as the composure of Caspers. Vine on the angle, Courtney Vine. Well, there's one to add to the highlights reel for Adelaide Grove. Gee, she's had a good game. Back in goals today. A snapshot from Vine at the near post, and Grove needed all her reactions there to tip it over the bar. And that's number 6. She's got half a dozen saves in this match, Adelaide Grove. And Sydney have got half a dozen corners in this game. Hawkesby composes herself as she looks into the sunset at Leichhardt. Thompson got up, just brushed off her hair, and it is going to be a free kick here. Here's the save for Adelaide Grove's highlights reel. And Courtney Vine. It's just one of those days, isn't it? Sorry, 4 saves it is for the game today, Adelaide Grove. And I mentioned that we've actually got some debate over the saves for Grove. Some stats say 6, that says 4. So Hawkesby. And here is a little spin from Vine and a beanie. Well, let's go with 6, I think, because Adelaide Grove would prefer we went with 6. So I'm happy to go with that as the Reds power away down the right. So Margot Chevet, we've seen her deployed as a centre-back, but doing really well in the holding midfield role this season for Sydney FC. Mullen just come onto the field. Janchevski and Wyman. Now, that moment may not look like much, but it's prevented a corner. And the Reds are pressing at the moment. That is a momentum killer for the Reds in this particular passage of the game. Look at that desperation from Wyman. It wasn't going to be on target, but she knew the deflection. It was going to be a corner. That's a big play from the goalkeeper. Reds get a corner there. You never know what could happen. Anto Juric just having a little chat there to Abby Lemon. Him and Tom Whiteside conversing. Just wondering whether there may be further changes on the way. So they've already used Caspers and Connors off the bench. They've got Holman and DeSantos still there, able to be utilised. Final 15 minutes of regulation time in this one. So this match and the Brisbane-Perth game running concurrently. The final matches in the penultimate round of the season, before the final round next week. But there is still one match to be played during the week. Don't miss it. Wednesday afternoon, 4 p.m. at McKellar Park, Canberra and Sydney. As Vine lays it off, Hawkesby was sitting there on a plate for her. Vine goes again with the snapshot and just couldn't keep it down. So Hawkesby just shut down there by the block of Hodgson, and then Vine has shot number 6. So she's fired 6 shots at goal, 4 of those on target. So on another day, well, you'd probably say she might score 2 of them at least, Courtney Vine. It's not for a lack of trying that she hasn't scored today. As Hawkesby gives away a free kick. There it is. Well, just a bit lazy in there, wasn't it? Hawkesby coming in from behind. Little nudge. Free kick for Janchevski. Dinks it over the top. Tonkin with the header. Maybe just was hoping for a little more power, that it may have been able to loop in, but it wasn't a bad effort from the centre back. That's where Sasaki, she's just deputising, and Vine has stolen in behind, gets around Grove, and Courtney Vine finally gets on the score sheet with a 7th shot of the game, and she has got 10 goals for the season. And Sydney FC, well, they are marching towards 3 points, which will be crucial in the race for a 4th consecutive premiership. And that is why she is one of the best players in this competition, because she didn't let those opportunities that were stopped by Grove earlier in the game deter her. She has just continued and continued to create opportunities, and now she's got her goal. She's got 10 for the season. Janchevski at the other end almost pulled one back for Adelaide. And you'd think Courtney Vine, she'd have to be the first name on the team sheet, wouldn't she, for the A-League All-Stars, the A-League women, taking on Arsenal. Grab your tickets, 24th of May at Marvel Stadium. A-League members can grab their tickets on Wednesday. General public can get them on Thursday. So just a few days to wait as Hawkesby. Connors, can she get on the score sheet? Vine couldn't curl it around enough to make it a double in 3 consecutive matches. So Indiana Dos Santos is going to come onto the field, back from Young Matilda's duty, where they finished 3rd at the AFC Under-20 Asian Cup. And Shay Holman also part of that team, coached by Leah Blaney. Maddie Caspers as well, who's already on the field. Zara Kruger not in the side today as well, in that side. And Janaea Dos Santos, who's not here as well. They've been given a rest as Princess Abini and Mackenzie Hawkesby. They get their breather, a nod. Job well done, Mackenzie Hawkesby. She can think about Wednesday now, that clash with Canberra. Indiana Dos Santos, who scored her maiden A-League women's goal last season against Perth. Janaea, she scored that match winner against Wellington back in December. And Janchevski had a moment before. Now, I was just going to mention those A-League All-Stars teams. You can head to the A-League's website and vote for who you want to make up your side. This delivery will be taken by Wyman. That's spectacular. Aussie rule style, up above the head. You'd expect she'll be a good shout. Jada Wyman in the Matildas squad for the trip to America next month. Heading towards 9 clean sheets this season, which would be 35 in her A-League women's career in match number 100. Pretty good strike rate, that. To Santos. And away for the Reds. Condon. Yeah, there's nothing better than getting that opportunity to select your A-League All-Stars team. And what's so exciting this year is we've had the men's concept before we get the women's concept. Arsenal coming over here, one of the biggest sides in the world. It's going to be absolutely brilliant there in Melbourne. Of course, Arsenal with some Aussies, Catley and Ford. So just fantastic. Cooney Cross, yeah, you can keep adding the Aussies to the list. It's a flood of Aussies over there in the WSL. So Zoe Tolan coming onto the field now. So one of the changes from that trip to Wellington, she's coming on for Sasaki. Mullen. Angles a pass wide now for Blake. And DeSantos. Holman up to Vine. The Reds just converged on Courtney Vine. So next week, as I said, A-League Women's final round. Now we know the kind of drama that happens in the Liberty A-League finals, which are not far away either, but we've already seen the drama that can unfold in the final rounds in this competition. How about that game yesterday, Newcastle and Melbourne victory? What an absolute cracking finish. So if that's anything to go by, that was a crucial match in the finals race. Next week, it's just mouth-watering. An Easter weekend with so many treats in the A-League Women's. Mariners Western United on Thursday, Adelaide Newcastle on Friday, Wellington Western Sydney on Saturday. All of these matches with some kind of influence on the top six. Brisbane and Canberra won't. That's also on Saturday. Then Sydney and Victory on the Sunday, followed by Perth and Melbourne City. Melbourne Victory, a crucial match for them because they lose that Newcastle win. Well, they'll be out of the top six. And Victory, we know, they love playing against Sydney FC from grand finals past. Great history between those two sides. So it is going to be a fantastic weekend of A-League Women's action. You just love the final round of the season for all the permutations and combinations that can go into it. If you're studying your HSC maths, you might be able to equate all the permutations as Courtney Vine. Again, she's denied by Grove. And gets the ball almost all the way through. And Mullen now finds Condon. And Charlotte McLean has been a huge part of this watertight Sydney FC defence. And a bit of cramp is there. Here's this chance Courtney Vine created here. Grove didn't know much about it, but gee, she's good at just making herself big. And then here's the foul. And Margot Chevet just getting a little bit of cramp. Now you look at her stats this season, Margot Chevet, you can probably understand why she's getting a bit of cramp. 8 starts this season, just the 8 appearances out of 20. So not the same match minutes as some of her teammates. Has been called upon quite heavily with a number of players missing due to young Matilda's duty. And I think that face tells the story of just how good the pickle juice tastes. I don't think she enjoyed that swallow of pickle juice, but she may enjoy the effects of it because hopefully it'll reduce this cramping. The problem is that Sydney have made all their changes. Here it is. It was the left calf. Here it is. She had a little chuckle, and then she's going, no, I don't want any more of that. That'll do, mate. She can see the funny side of it now. She walks off the field. I don't think she's going near the pickle juice. Physio just talking her through some exercises here. So Sydney down to 10 momentarily. Only Jasmine Black, the backup goalkeeper, on the bench. Don't think Sydney are going to send her out there for the moment. technically they could make another change, Sydney, but just the 5 on the bench, of course, for outfield and the backup goalkeeper, Caspers and Vine. Lemon. Matty Caspers playing the 1-2 with Courtney Vine. And that's a good win for Adelaide. All just lumped up in towards the path of Hodgson. Holtz putting the pressure on Vine and forced that shot well wide of goal. So Sydney FC just minutes away now from confirming their return to the summit of the Liberty A-League and making it 9 clean sheets this season for Jada Wyman. So they can win the title on Wednesday in Canberra. So remember, if you're watching that game, just remember that's the day. If you're an A-Leagues member, you can buy your tickets for the All-Stars match at Marvel Stadium. If you're sitting down and you're a member, that's right, I've got to get my All-Stars tickets. You can do that on Wednesday. Vine angles the pass to Connors. Had 2 good chances to open her goal scoring for Sydney FC. Looking to provide one here for DeSantos or Vine. Swept away by the Reds. Up towards Hodgson, who had the chance to make it 2-1 in this second half. It would have been a really tight run thing had the Reds been able to snatch one back. And Isabella Libri just informing us that we've got 5 additional minutes of stoppage time. DeSantos' first touch was a good one, but the second allowing the Reds to win it back. And now Lemon. Mullen. Again, Sydney, their desperation and drive to win back the ball apparent again. Chevet. DeSantos, it opened up just for a moment for Indiana, and she thought, I might have a try. Tolan's pass straight to Lemon. Holman. So both sides getting a little tired here. The dying stages. It is autumn, but it is still humid. It's still mid-20s, so still warm conditions for the players here. Hodgson's touch spills out. Toland and now Blake. Mullen finds Holtz. Lobs it into the box. Condon will chase it down. And Condon floating it all the way back. And DeSantos is going to earn her side of throw. So the Reds next week, I mentioned they're playing Good Friday against Newcastle. So they win that, and Canberra are unable to win both of their last 2 matches. So Canberra are playing against Sydney and then Brisbane. Adelaide would avoid the wooden spoon because they would have had more wins than Canberra. So we'll wait and see how that plays out in the coming weeks. But the Cove are in full voice. Now Abby Lemon just stretching out some cramp. moment. The ball just refusing to go out, it looked. Has crossed the line eventually. Jordan Thompson enjoying life at Sydney FC. It's going to be another key involvement from her in a Sydney FC shutout. Condon. Maybe Adelaide could find themselves a goal here. Hodgson. And at the near post. It's always tough to beat Jada Wyman, but especially a strike just lacking the power there from the Reds captain. So Adelaide just able to find some space there through Hodgson. And they'll be left to wonder what may have been if they had have grabbed that chance midway through the second half. The script could have been a little different for Adelaide. You sense Sydney FC, though, would have probably had the attacking arsenal to get themselves over the line, but you never know what can happen when things get a little bit tight and tense. That bench can begin to turn their attention to Wednesday against Canberra, where they can set their sights on an historic moment in this competition, a 4th consecutive premiership. Shay Connors, she's offside just when you thought she was going to get her first goal for Sydney FC. The flag has snatched it away from her. So never a draw in this fixture in 16 seasons in the A-League Women's, and that's going to continue. It's going to be win number 21 out of 25 matches for Sydney, 4 wins for the Reds. Sydney FC move a step closer to securing a record-breaking 4th consecutive A-League Women's Premiership with their 4th victory in a row. And they can secure the title on Wednesday when they head to the nation's capital to face Canberra United. Adelaide United, they lose their 5th match in a row, and they get one final chance to avoid the spoon when they clash on Friday with Newcastle. But it's Sydney FC's afternoon at Leichhardt Oval. Talon Henniker, Hawkesby and Vine, the goal scorers. Sydney FC, the winners, 3-0. And here are the goals for Sydney FC today. The 18-year-old Kaylee Talon Henniker scoring inside the opening 10 minutes. Just never giving up on a ball that traced its way all the way through the Adelaide United defence. And that was the perfect start on a beautiful autumn afternoon here. And then Mackenzie Hawkesby made it 2-0. Punished the Reds, who gave it away playing out from the back, and it was a double goal lead before the half-time break, and Mackenzie Hawkesby loved that, her 3rd of the season. And then Courtney Vine, if at first you don't succeed, try, and keep trying again. Finally on the 7th attempt, she kept challenging Annalee Grove. It wasn't for a lack of quality or a lack of trying from Vine. It was just that Grove was outstanding, and then finally she was able to weave away from the goalkeeper and make it 3-0 to Sydney FC. And this is where the stats lie. Similar story for the Reds. Dominating possession. Sydney FC too clinical. And in the end, that's where it matters on the scoreboard. And it's Sydney FC now, just a win away from a 4th consecutive premiership. Thanks for your company. Thanks to all the team behind the production today. From Leichhardt Oval, it's goodbye. It's Sydney FC, 3-0 winners over the Reds.